Restoration this past Sunday, we had the privilege of ordaining Jared Evans and David Williams into the gospel ministry as they answer God's call in their life to the office of pastor, elder, bishop, overseer. Now, I want to begin to explain what it looks like to be an elder at Restoration. Now, Jared and David both feel called to be a pastor. Where the Lord leads, we will see. We'll see where that goes as both men will pray and discern what that looks like in their life. Now, what I want to do is cover over the next couple of weeks, specifically those who are called to be an elder at Restoration Community Church. Now, we see in Scripture the qualifications. We went over that last week a little bit. We also have roles that they play, roles that elders play inside the local church. We see an example in 1 Peter chapter 5 where Peter says this, "So I exhort the elders among you." He says, as a fellow elder and witness of the sufferings of Christ, he says this, "Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you do so." So the roles that a pastor, elder, bishop, overseer plays at Restoration Community Church is usually fourfold, right? It's teaching, it's praying, it's leading, and it's governing. Right? So the role of an elder at Restoration Community Church is to teach, is to pray, is to lead, and is to govern. That's the roles at Restoration. Now, what we're going to see in 2024 is we're going to see a couple of our longtime faithful elders kind of roll off their term as elders as they've been serving for quite some time. And that would be Rudy Halstead and John Spagnolia. We are grateful for their service. We are grateful for their answer to God's call in their life here specifically at Restoration as an elder of the church. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace those with Sean McSwain and Jared Evans specifically, right? They feel called to be an elder at Restoration Community Church for the time being. I'll keep you updated on that, but I wanted to let you know some of the transition that's going to happen. Again, that is natural rotation. There is nothing like no drama, no weirdness. It is just Rudy's rolling off. John Spagnolia has been an elder for a very long time here at Restoration, and he's going to move into a different season of life. So Sean McSwain and Jared Evans will move into those roles come 2024. I'll explain some other changes coming up in 2024 for our church in terms of eldership in a good, positive way. But speaking of change and speaking of hard decisions that elders get to make, and that is, how do we continue to make and equip disciples of Jesus who love, lead, and serve, right? And specifically on Sunday morning. Listen, God is doing some great things at Restoration Community Church. Rare air, if you will. Now, that has provided an opportunity for us to create more space so that every man, woman, and child, your neighbors, would have an opportunity to hear and respond to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, we have a couple options, right? We could take that opportunity and say, no thanks, no vacancy, we're full. We could do that, but that's not the mission. And in fact, the mission of God coming out of Matthew chapter 28 is to go and make disciples. Part of that in our culture is us loving our neighbors and inviting people to come hear the gospel on Sunday morning. That's part of it. Now, they got to have a place to be. They got to have a place to sit. They got to have a place for their kids to go. So we're going to create another space. We're going to create a third service, listen, as a temporary solution until we are ready to plant or until we just deem it's no longer necessary. All right, and so starting on January 7th, 2024, we're going to have 3 services at 7:30, 9, and 10:30. We're not the first church to do this. We won't be the last church. We are simply moving as we feel the Lord is leading us, and we're going to create space. Your ministry leaders, other staff members can help answer any questions. I'm available to answer any questions. But on January 7th, we are going to create another opportunity, another space, so that every man, woman, and child has an opportunity to hear and respond to the gospel. The only other option we have at Restoration is to put the no vacancy sign up. I don't believe that's the mission of God. That's not the heart of God. So we're going to obediently and humbly take this step of faith, and we're going to trust that God will provide everything we need for that service. Now, here's how you can help. I want to ask you to pray. I want to ask you to pray for unity as a church. I want to ask you to pray that God would take this, us being obedient, and use this as a way for other people to hear and respond to the gospel. And I'm also going to ask you to pray that God will send people to serve at that 7:30 service, right? That we have a ton of people at Restoration Community Church. a ton. And we are grateful for that. We have a lot who are not yet exercising that opportunity to serve. And so I'm going to pray, and I'm going to ask you to pray that God would send the laborers to make that 7:30 service excellent and welcoming and a beautiful environment for every man, woman, and child to respond to the gospel. Love you, church. Keep praying. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you on Sunday.